Welcome to the Super Simple Golf Swing. My name's Garnet Bellick, and I've been golfing for over 30 years and instructing for 15. And what I find time and time again is that the golf swing is taught in a far too complicated manner. And let's be honest, it is a complicated maneuver. So what are my wrists and my grip doing? Is it too weak or too strong? How about my backswing and downswing? Is it too flat or too steep? How are my hips moving? What are my shoulders up to? So there are a lot of things to consider. But today, with the Super Simple Golf Swing, we're going to show you how to break down all these things in a super simple manner, and you're going to be playing better golf this season. So let's get to it. Okay, so another golf instruction video. So how is the Super Simple Golf Swing different or unique? Well, first off, we're going to teach you why golf is hard. There's a fundamental difference between the backswing and the downswing that new or non-improving golfers get wrong time and time again. And once you learn that difference, you won't believe how much it simplifies the golf swing for you. In addition, we're going to teach you how to convert your 9-iron to a 7-iron. You know, that's how the pros do it, right? They do a certain thing at impact that adds distance and power, and once you learn what that thing is, you won't believe how simple it is for you to do yourself. In addition, we're going to teach you what I like to call the magic checkpoint. There's a certain position in the backswing and the downswing that if you hit it time and time again, you're going to be so consistent, have effortless power, and it's part of the slice cure as well. In addition, we're going to teach you two very simple golf swings. One I like to call the turn and hinge, and the other I like to call the two boxes swing. So one is more for irons and one is more for woods and driver, but when you see the difference between the two and how simple they are, you will be amazed at the progress you're able to make. In addition, we're going to give you a mini history of the golf swing and how the effect of the trail elbow or the right arm and the right elbow, how that has changed over time. You know, going way back in time with superstars like Sam Snead or Bobby Jones, and all the way up to modern superstars like Tiger Woods, Ernie Els, and Louis Oosthuizen. So on top of all that, we're going to cover drills, drills, drills. So everything that we teach you, we're going to give you a wonderful drill that help you ingrain that instruction. So you're on your way to having the best golf season of your life. Let's get to it. Okay, so let's get making some golf swings. So the first swing that I want to introduce to you to is what I like to call the box swing. So what's a box swing? Well, it's basically when we go from address, we go 90 degrees back to pointing straight back. We imagine that we're going straight up, straight down, and then returning 90 degrees. So you can imagine that 90 degrees and straight up and down is kind of like the sides of a box. And so the reason why I invented this swing is to help you achieve a number of scenarios. First and foremost, if you're brand new to golf. You know, when you're new to golf, there are a number of things that complicate learning it, and we're just going to take away all those complications and make it as easy as a turn, up, down, and a turn back. Following off, you might want to use this if your tee game totally falls off a cliff. So you're having trouble getting off a tee, you're hitting slices and pulls, or you're really having a miserable time with distance and getting the ball elevated. This swing will help you get back on track as well. In addition, you might be working on your second shot on par 5s. So you're 200 or 225 yards away from the green, and you're really working on that wood or hybrid off the deck. This is going to help you out there as well. And then finally, believe it or not, even with your wedges or your short game. So you're having that two-way miss, the military golf, you're going left, right, left, right, left. It's so frustrating, so this swing is going to help you get on track as well. So let me tell you why it works. Okay, so why does this swing work? So the reason this swing works so well is that it cures a number of common problems with the golf swing. So when you think about the golf swing, the backswing and the downswing, the backswing is always up and back, whereas the downswing should always be down and through. So there's a lack of symmetry between backswing and downswing. And so this swing helps you have a symmetry because we open, and then we have an upswing and a downswing down the exact same slot. In addition, this swing helps you provide a really solid upper body structure, what I like to call the power package. So ultimately, it's our left arm, our lead arm, and our trail arm, and our golf club forming a really nice solid package, and we'll share with you how that can help you have really solid impact every single time. In addition, it helps cure some of the main faults that always happen with many golf swings. So those main faults would be, the left elbow breaking, the right elbow collapsing too much, and then too much wrist hinge, so hinging way too far back. On top of that, we're going to really focus on making swings instead of hits. So as you all know, that concept of effortless power is something that we all aspire to, and will help you along the lines for that as well. And then finally, what this does is it also gives you a very square reference point. So again, we're going from address to 90 degrees back, to up, to down, back to address. Again, it's really going to help you get back to the ball every time with really square impact. So let's talk about the details. All right, so let's have a look at our stance, and we'll start with the down the line view. So I'm a right-handed golfer, and I'm hitting the ball in that direction. And first off, when we're taking our stance, we want to make sure that our feet, the outside of our feet, are about the width of our shoulders. Following that, we're going to have a gentle bend in our knees. And then in addition, our heels, our knees, our hips, and our shoulders are all going to be aligned, perpendicular to where we want the ball to go. Following that, our butt's going to be out a little bit, our back's going to be straight, and then again, we're going to keep our square shoulders. Then we take our grip, and we'll talk about the details of the grip in a moment. And then as we address the ball, we're going to make sure that our hands are as high as possible, and that the angle between our left arm and our shaft is as great as possible. And then the thing that glues it all together is that we want to feel some right side connectedness. So again, we have the side of our body, or our lat, or the rib cage. We want to feel a connectedness to our right arm, our trail arm, and that will make our right arm or our trail arm lower than our left. So this is higher than our left, that's lower than our left, and then we adjust the ball. All right, so let's take a look at the stance from the front now. Okay, so again, I'm a right-handed golfer. I'm going to be hitting the ball that way. And so first off, we're going to make sure that our heels, our knees, our hips, our shoulders are all feeling nice and square. Again, our butt's going to be out a little bit, nice straight back. And then keeping those square shoulders, we make sure that we keep our forward or our left arm straight. Our right arm comes in from the side. And then as we adjust the ball, we're going to keep our hands pretty much as high as possible in a gentle manner, and then have that angle between our club and our left arm maximize. And then when we address the ball, the club shaft is going to be nice and straight and perpendicular to where we're hitting to. So nice and straight, pointing to the camera pretty much. So not pointing back and not pointing forward, nice and square to the ball. Okay, and that's that. Okay, so let's grip that club. So as you saw a moment ago, we had the concept of having nice unified hands for a nice solid grip. So let's see how we get there. So first and foremost, when you want to be thinking about your left hand grip or your upper hand, we want to make sure that it's in the fingers of our hand and not across the palm. So it's in the fingers. From that point, our left thumb is going to be on the top of the grip, and then we're going to add in our right hand. I'm going to use a word from the side. Okay, so what we start off doing is we make a hook with our middle finger and our ring finger, slide that down the back to match up with our other fingers, and then we overlap or interlock our pinky finger. From that perspective, following that, we glue the meat of our two thumbs together, and then we do what's called a trigger finger. So you kind of have a trigger like that. And so the key with this particular swing is that it's nice and solid. So we're not going to be doing too much hinge in this swing. So fairly firm grip pressure is going to be okay. And then we just adjust the ball. So the next concept that I want to introduce to you is what I like to call the power package. So it's the upper body, our left arm, right arm, and the club being unified in a powerful manner. So the way that we achieve that is that we basically make sure that our left, our lead arm, is nice and straight. Our right, our trail arm, comes in from the side. We grip the club, and we're going to be having reasonably firm grip pressure so that we're controlling the club. And as you can see, when we turn things away, they turn as one unit, and then we turn away and hinge up. Again, that's all one unit as well. The one thing I really like to emphasize with the power package is that the right elbow, the right arm, the trail arm is a store of power. So that's this power package. Let's see how we put it into play. All right, so it's finally time to get into the golf swing. So, not surprisingly, let's start off with the takeaway. So as we talked about a moment ago, we have this concept of a power package where we have a nice solid left arm, right arm coming in from the side. You know, our club face is pointing pretty much straight forward. And then it's super simple. All that we're gonna do is rotate our chest and shoulders to pointing straight back. So again, our chest and shoulders are gonna be pointing straight back. So we're moving the power package as a unit. And what you'll see is that when you're doing this, the orientation of your club face stays exactly the same to your arms and your wrists. So you're in one position, and as you rotate the power package back, pointing straight back, we are in the exact same orientation as we were at address. So it's incredibly simple to get back to square and make great contact. The next concept that I want to share with you is what I like to call the magic checkpoint. So what's the magic checkpoint? Well, it's making sure that we go through the same point on our backswing and our downswing, and that repetitive motion, I guarantee, is going to make you a better golfer and hit the best shots of your life. So let's talk about it. Okay, so what's the magic checkpoint? So when we're looking down the line, the magic checkpoint is the point when we've done our takeaway with our chest and shoulders and our club is pointing straight back. So it's pointing straight back, it's basically level to the ground, and as you can see on the club face, it's essentially, looking from here in between 11 and 12 o'clock. So looking at it from front, the magic checkpoint looks a little bit different. So as you can imagine, during the backswing, we're pushing, we're stretching, we're taking away. And so our arms are going to be a little bit further. They're going to be outside of our thigh. But on the downswing, our club and our hands are going to be much closer to our thigh. And so that point there is one thing that's just going to be huge for making a difference for you. Again, the magic checkpoint, it's going to make a huge difference in your game. So as a quick overview of the upswing and the downswing, I just want to emphasize that it is so simple because all we're doing is traveling up and down the same slot. So looking at it from the front, we're going to go from our magic checkpoint and we're going straight up and straight down based on where our shaft is pointing. So straight up and straight down. Same thing for down the line. We go from address to our magic checkpoint. And it feels like you're lifting it straight up and straight down, but as you can see, it moves back. So here's a quick overview. Let's talk about the details. Okay, so the upswing couldn't be more simple. So we're going to start from our magic checkpoint, and then all we're going to do is imagine that the club shaft is just following where it's pointing, just going straight up, and that's it. So one thing that you might want to consider is just looking at it down the line and just imagine that you're pushing the club shaft to where it's pointing to. So again, it's really going straight up. And as you can see, the only action that's occurring is really in my right elbow here, back down to address. So simple. So same thing for the downswing, like it could not be more simple. So we've gone from our magic checkpoint up, and then all that we're coming back down is in that same path to where our hands are in front of our right thigh, our trail thigh, and ultimately our right elbow is reconnecting. So we go from the top, reconnect our right elbow, and get our hands to our front of our thigh. So looking at it down the line, again, we're going from the top of our backswing, top of our upswing, down. Our hands are getting nice and close to our thigh, and then we're just returning to impact. It's so simple. Okay, so now it's time for impact, the moment of truth. And it couldn't be more simple. So because of the fact that we've done all these great things to get to that point, so we've had that nice 90-degree takeaway, we have an upswing and a downswing that mirror each other. We go through the magic checkpoint on that upswing and downswing. Now all we're doing is returning to impact. And again, because of the fact that we've had no wrist rolling or no manipulation, we're just going to be turning our ball into impact. And what I like to do is recommend to my students to extend through impact about a foot or two until both arms are straight. So again, we have all these good fundamentals. At the moment of truth, all we have to do is make solid contact and really keep our focus on that part of the swing. So what I really like to recommend to many of my students is that if they're having trouble with that consistent contact, to have laser focus on impact, and maybe suggest to their friends, hey guys, hey girls, can you keep an eye on this for me? So that they can focus on making solid contact, and then only after that point, look up to see that ball sail down the fairway. Give it a try. Okay, so once we've made great contact, all that we need to do is do a follow through and a finish. And I think we've all seen the fundamentals before, but just to remind us all, we've made contact. Ultimately, we're going to extend, and then we're going to carry the club up. We're going to bend both arms. Our hips are going to pivot to the target. Our hips are going to point to the target. We're going to balance ourselves on our right toe. There's obviously a stand-up move here, and then we're just going to rotate our hips all the way, rotate our shoulders all the way, and then hold that finish. So looking down the line, again, we're going to fully extend, stand-up move, pivot onto our side. And one thing that I find a lot of golfers appreciate is if you do a 1/4 opening of your forward foot, your left foot, you're going to find that you're going to be able to rotate around much, much easier. So you do that rotation at the very beginning at your address, and I guarantee that you are going to have a terrific follow through and finish. Okay, so that was the box swing. So again, during the box swing, we really emphasized that we have a nice solid power package, and we weren't really emphasizing too much on hinge and too much on elbow bend, even though that was happening automatically. But we discussed that there's also a 2 boxes swing, and that's where the additional power comes from. So what's the second box? Well, basically, take adjust your stance and adjust the ball. Move to about 45 degrees off of your impact position, and then bend your wrist to 90 degrees. So there's 90 degrees between your club shaft and your left arm. And then bend your elbow about 90 degrees. And there's that second box. It's actually our power package when it's fully hinged. And so if you can imagine, you do that addressing the ball, and then just rotate. That's the top of your backswing. So the 1 box, again, is the shape that we're taking, and the second box is those key 90-degree angles in our hinge and our elbow and our tricep to our body. Okay, so now it's time to add some power to this golf swing. And because it's a super simple swing, we're just going to focus on 2 key elements. So our elbow drive as well as our hip movement. So, as we've just discussed, we've saw that it's really simple to think of what our elbow is doing in the golf swing. So to deconstruct it, we have a hinge, we have an elbow bend, and an arm raise. When we hold that with our club, there's a hinge, an elbow raise, and an arm raise. And then when we add shoulder core turn to that, that's our backswing. So again, in the backswing, ultimately, we're swinging, elbows raising. In the downswing, the elbow is reconnecting and driving through. So I know this drill looks incredibly ridiculous, but just give this a try. So bend your club to 45 degrees, okay? And just practice doing an up and down movement, driving that elbow into your side, and then do your full shoulder and chest turn, and then do the same thing where we're going for a magic checkpoint. Arm separates, elbow drives down. Arm separate, elbow drives down. I guarantee that once you feel that move as being very natural, you're on your way to being an incredible ball striker. Okay, so we focused on our elbow drop, our elbow drive, and all we need to focus on now is our lower body and our hip drive. So as you can probably appreciate, talking about our chest, our upper body first, so that when we get to the point of our upper body, our chest has turned about 90 degrees, but our hips have only turned about 45 degrees. And then on the way through, they're gonna turn all the way back through again till our belt buckle hits the target. So ultimately, what we wanna make sure is that when we're using our hips, really simply, we're going in our backswing and we're opening the hips, and then as we connect our elbow, we're closing our hips through. I'm going to show you a great drill about this in a moment, but ultimately, we're connecting our elbow and we're rotating our hips through. So this is the quick recap of the super simple golf swing. Now it's time for drills, drills, drills to show you how to put it all together. Drills, drills, drills. So when it comes to getting better at golf, there's really only three things to think about. There's learning, there's practicing, and there's playing. And ultimately, when we're practicing, we want to be practicing the right thing in the most efficient way. And that's where drills come in. So since the super simple golf swing is so simple, there's only a small handful of drills that we need to work on and master before you're going to become an incredible ball striker. So let's have a look at those drills. So it's time for our first drill. So our first drill that we're going to work on is basically going from our magic checkpoint through to impact to the beginning of our follow through. So I like to call the drill the magic checkpoint and then belt buckle facing target. So what we're going to focus on is during our backswing, we're just going to go to that magic checkpoint so that our club is level to the ground, pointing straight back. We're going to bring it back down to impact, and we're going to continue rotating our body until our belt buckle and chest and club, of course, are facing the target. So what this does is it enables us to focus on the fact that we're making that move to magic checkpoint, through to target, and then beginning or finish and follow through. So let's go to the sim and have a look. So here I am practicing the magic checkpoint belt to target drill. As you can see, I'm brushing the turf a couple times with several practice swings, really focusing on going from magic checkpoint and then getting that lower body and my belt buckle facing the target. A great drill. The next drill that we're going to work on is what I like to call the 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock swing. It's basically a half swing. So what we're going to be doing is once we're addressing our ball, we've got our connected right side. So the key here is that we're not going to be hinging too much and we're not going to be bending the elbow too much. We're going to be turning away with our shoulders and turn back and through. And the clock face refers to about 9 o'clock. So when our left arm is essentially face to flat to the ground, and then follow through to the ball when our right arm is essentially flat to the ground. So let's call that 9 o'clock to 3 o'clock. So we make nice smooth swings through impact, holding that finish. Nice and easy, slow motion to start, increase our speed as we go, and it's a great drill to get you making solid, consistent contact. Let's go to the sim. So as you can see, we're taking you through a nice, gentle progression of small, medium, and larger swings. So with this halfway back and halfway through swing, it really does emphasize the fact that we're going up and down through the magic checkpoint, We're brushing the turf over again, making sure that we're focusing on impact, and then following through halfway. So it's a really great drill to help build confidence in making simple, solid impact. So the next drill that I want to instruct you guys with is what is called the checkpoint to checkpoint drill. And so what that is basically we're going to be taking our address position, going to our magic checkpoint 1, and then we're just going to be going from that position and pumping up and down. So I kind of like to think of this as 2 phases. One is that we're focusing on pumping up and down with just our upper body, and then we're going to add more hip turn, and we're really going to be focused on, again, reconnecting that right elbow and then driving that left hip back on the downswing. So what this does is it emphasizes going up and down the same slot over and over again, and we've talked about how important that magic checkpoint is, and going through that on the backswing and the downswing is just such an important fundamental. So let's go to the sim and have a look at the drill. So here I am doing the checkpoint to checkpoint drill. As you can see, once I've done my takeaway, I go up and down through that magic checkpoint time and time again. This move will create so much consistency in your golf swing, and the downward strike will give you so much effortless power. It's a drill that I include in every practice session, and I even include it in many of my pre-shot routines as well. It's a great drill. Effortless power. So now it's time to talk about powering the golf swing. So in the super simple golf swing, we're really going to focus on just 2 things during the backswing and 2 additional things during the downswing. So during the backswing, what we really want to focus on is turning those shoulders. So getting those shoulders turned 90 degrees off of address. And then in addition, we're obviously going to be raising our arms like we talked about. Again, open and then up. And then on the downswing, we're going to focus on the similar concept, lowering our arms and using our hip drive to get through the ball. So let's focus on those 2 separately. Okay, so the next drill that we're going to practice is what I like to call the turn, hinge, and hold. It's basically practicing the backswing with an emphasis on getting full shoulder rotation. So as you can see here, we're set up with our stance, and I have a golf club on the ground, pointing straight away from me, perpendicular to where the ball's going to go, and it's inside my right or my trail foot. And so what we're going to do is we're going to address the ball, and from that point, we're going to turn our chest and shoulders to the magic checkpoint. We're going to hinge up, ever so gently, and we're going to hold that position. And so what I want to emphasize with this drill is the fact that your shoulder turn may not be getting you all the way to 90 degrees. So what does that look like? So basically, if you put a club shaft across your shoulders and you start turning your chest, you may only be able to turn so far with just your shoulders and your chest. But as you'll see, it's your left knee, your front knee, that allows you to turn all the way so that this club is perpendicular to or parallel to the one on the ground. So again, we're going from square, we have a firm trail leg, firm right leg, and we're turning our shoulders and chest as far as we can, and then the rest of it is going to be enabled with our lower body. So ultimately the drill from the front is going to be, again, a turn, a hinge up, and we're going to hold that position, and let's go to the sim and have a look at that down the line. So here I am working on the turn, raise, and hold drill. So to emphasize, we're working on turning our shoulders to 90 degrees. Once we get that takeaway done, we raise our arms up. We go again through the upswing and the downswing through the magic checkpoint. We'll try a couple of holds at the top to get a really great feeling at the top. And then once again, we'll go a nice strike through the impact. A great drill. Okay, so this drill is basically the summary of the downswing. And I like to call it the right side reconnect and left hip back drill. So as a reminder, during the backswing, we're going to have a turning of our hips, opening of our hips, and a raising of our arms, particularly our trail or our right elbow here. And then when we initiate the downswing, at the same time, we drive our elbow down Okay, so our right elbow reconnects at the same time as our left hip goes back. So again, right elbow reconnects, left hip back. It really is that simple. Let's go have a look at the drill in the sim. Here I am working on the right side reconnects, left hip back drill. So as you can see, I start off without a club and make a handful of practice swings, driving that right elbow down and flashing that left hip back, really focusing on speed. And after I do a handful of those without a club, I'll grab a club, do my normal practice swing, and then hit a ball. This really is the essence of the golf swing, and it'll really make you much faster. This is probably a good time to talk about a video program that I put together a while back called The Fundamentals of Effortless Power. It contains over a dozen very specific drills and very brief mini lessons that'll help you have an effortlessly powerful golf swing. Myself and my students just love it, and I know you're gonna love it too.